Good morning, and welcome to the committee meeting for the Academic and Workforce Success Committee of the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. Please be advised this meeting is being broadcast over the internet. Agenda item 2 is consideration of approval of the minutes for the September 18th, 2019 committee meeting. Are there any questions or discussion about these? If not, do I have a motion to approve? Moved by Ms. Williams. Second?
Second.
Second by Emma. Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Agenda item 3 is consideration of approval of the consent calendar. Items listed on consent items 5J and 5P3. Any board member can request that an agenda item can be added to or removed from the consent calendar. At this time, I would like to request items 5A, 5H, and 5I be added to the consent calendar, and so I move that. Agenda item 5A is discussion for the report of the National Research University Fund for fiscal year 2019. And agenda item 5H is consideration of adopting the staff recommendation to the committee relating to the July 2019 annual compliance reports for institutions under the Certificate of Authorization, numbers beginning with P through Z. And agenda item 5I is a report to the committee on school closures and/or teach-outs pursuant to Chapter 7, Subchapter A, Section 7.75. May I have a motion? Or do I have a second question, Mr. Chairman?
Okay, so you're removing from the consent calendar an information item only?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. And if you'd like to take a look at those, I just described those three, so that's correct. May I have a second to my motion to add these 3 agenda items to the consent calendar?
Second.
Thank you. Seconded by Ms. Williams. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Does any committee member want to remove any agenda item from the consent calendar? Does any committee member want to add any other items to the consent calendar? Okay, now may I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as amended? Motion
So move.
by Ms. Williams, second by Chairman Stedman. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Agenda item 4 is public testimony on agenda items relating to the Committee on Academic and Workforce Success. At this time, we do not have anyone registered to testify, so we will go on to the next item, which is agenda item 5A. 5A was added to the consent calendar, so we'll move on to 5B, which is a report to the Committee on Activities of the Apply Texas Advisory Committee. We're going to invite up Dr. Rebecca Lothringer from UT Arlington and Dr. Mordecai Brownlee, St. Philip's College, co-chairs to the Apply Texas Advisory Committee, and they will provide a brief summary of the latest activities and will be available to answer questions. And this is an information item only. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having us here this morning. It's our pleasure to bring you a report from the Applied Texas Advisory Committee this morning. This past year, we continued our work to improve and make more efficient and effective the application for the students of Texas. One of our major projects that we undertook this past year was our second year with the move to the Amazon Web Services, AWS, which is going to open the way for us to be able to make a lot of changes that have been requested both by students, counselors, and universities for the past few years. In order to prepare for that, a subcommittee was started that went through and looked at several of our other applications across the nation and gave a report back to us about the differences between Apply Texas and those other applications so that we can start considering changes we'd like to make to Apply Texas once AWS is installed. We are currently on target to have that completed this year, and so we're looking forward to being able to make those changes. In addition to that, we made some additional changes that were requested by the counselors and students to help the application be more efficient for them. For one thing, we changed the way the students can decide which application they should use because we saw a lot of students were confused when they were looking at the application. This was requested by the students and the counselors. We also made a change so that the universities can download the applications more than one time a day. This was requested by the universities. It is helping us to be able to bring in the applications and process students' decisions faster so they don't have to wait as long. In addition to that, we added for the students' benefit links to the application so students can directly go into FAFSA, SAT, ACT, and request information or go ahead and complete the FAFSA there. That was, again, something that we wanted to do to make this more efficient for the students. One of the common things that we do have to do is make a change to the essays every 2 years, and we also completed that this year. Those are the major functions that we did this past year. Other small items, rewording of items were done as well, but these were the ones that we would say would be the major projects to help the efficiency of the application.
Thank you. Dr. Brownlee, would you like to say a few words?
Just honored to serve, sir. Glad to be here on today, and thank you all for the opportunity. We're committed to student success and doing what we can as a committee to continue to elevate the experience for our students here in the state of Texas.
Okay. Any comments, Chairman Stedman?
So I thought you said you were trying to make the application similar or the same. I mean, I thought the whole idea was that there was just one application.
Well, we have applications across the nation, like the Common Application, that we wanted to look at. That's one that's used mostly outside of Texas. Very few universities in Texas are using that, mostly private schools. So what we wanted to do is to look at those applications to see what benefits they had for students so that we could start to integrate those into the Applied Texas application. For instance, one thing we've been asked for several years is to have the application system set up so students can upload their documents directly into the application as part of the application process. And currently, without the onset of AWS, we have not been able to do that. The Common App does allow students to do that. So we've been making those kind of comparisons.
Any other comments or questions? If not, thank you, and thank you for your service on the advisory committee.
Thank you very much.
Our next item is Agenda Item 5C1, consideration of adopting the staff recommendation to the committee relating to the request from Texas A&M University Texarkana for a Bachelor of Science BS degree with a major in mechanical engineering. Dr. Silverman will be presenting this item, and I would like to invite up to the front, please, representatives that we have here from Texas A&M University Texarkana, Dr. Emily Curter, President, Dr. David Yells, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, and Dr. Gary Standing, the Dean of the College of Business, Engineering, and Technology. Thank you for being here.
So, Dr. Farias, before we begin, I just wanted to make a couple of comments.
Yes, Dr. Silverman.
Okay. Before I review the proposed program, I want to let you know that the bachelor's and master's degree programs have a streamlined approval process, which allows institutions to rapidly respond to local, regional, and state need for new degree programs. However, for bachelor's and master's degree programs that are offered in engineering or have a 5-year cost that exceeds $2 million or above, institutions complete a full proposal rather than a streamlined certification. These proposals require board approval. The board directed this approach to make sure that such expensive programs were needed and could be implemented by the proposing institutions to benefit Texas students. Engineering was singled out because at the time, both the cost of the degree programs and of the difficulty in securing faculty. On your agenda this morning, there are 4 new bachelor's degree programs in engineering being proposed. And now I'll brief you on the Texarkana, A&M Texarkana proposal. It's a face-to-face program that would offer students a regional option for pursuing mechanical engineering and provide a pool of potential employees for local industry that's challenged to recruit and retain engineers from other regions of Texas. And while national workforce data suggest an overproduction of mechanical engineers, the national employment data actually show that mechanical engineering graduates find jobs with only 1.1% unemployed following graduation. The proposed program would be the second engineering program offered at A&M Texarkana. The institution has offered a BS in electrical engineering since 2008, and it is nationally accredited through ABET, the national professional accreditor for engineering degree programs. The institution will hire 3 core faculty, 2 in the first year and 1 in the second year of the program. It will also seek national accreditation for the program, and the institution estimates that the 5-year costs for the proposed program are about $3.4 million. The staff recommendation is for approval, and I would defer to the representatives from the institution to address any additional questions.
Thank you, Dr. Silverman. Good morning. Thank you for being Dr. Cudwer. Did I pronounce that right?
That's just fine.
Okay.
It's actually Couture, but all the students.
Couture, okay, Couture,
But all the
thank you.
students call me Dr. C.
Thank you, Dr. C. Would you like to say a few words about the program?
Well, we appreciate Dr. Silverman's overview, and we really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today about this proposal for an mechanical engineering program. This truly does grow out of the request of employers in our region. We have been fortunate over the last couple of years to have a group of larger manufacturers in our region come together as a group, discuss their needs, and they get together in a circle, talk about their needs, and those of us in education sit in the audience and listen. The overwhelming need from higher education, from the 4-year universities, from our manufacturers, is for mechanical engineering. And in our proposal, at the back of our proposal, we have support from a number of different people in our community, manufacturers, who are really, I would say, pretty desperate to get mechanical engineers. They bring them in from other parts of the country, other parts of the state, when they can find them, and find that they don't stay. So they're looking for some homegrown mechanical engineers, and there's certainly demand from our region, from the students. We have requests for it frequently. This concern led in the last legislative session to our moving forward with a broader request from the legislature, which we called the Better East Texas Initiative. And the Better East Texas Initiative centered on request for funding for degree programs that are really needed by our local community and more broadly by our region. And we were fortunate to receive funding for the 3 major degree programs we were asking for. We didn't want to put the cart before the horse, but it's kind of a catch-22. You don't want to start planning until you think you might have the funds, and when you have the funds, then you need to come ask to get permission to start the program. So we did receive funding. In fact, we received more funding than we asked for from the legislature to initiate programs in mechanical engineering, nursing, to help with the nursing shortage, and also in social work to help make our region of Texas, East Texas, an even better place than it is now. I am an old history professor, so I can't talk to you about the curriculum of engineering, but I'm pleased to have our dean of our College of Business, Engineering, and Technology here with us, and our provost, if you have any further questions.
Thank you, Dr. C. Dr. Yells, would you like to say a few words, please?
Just to reiterate what Dr. Contreras said, this Better East Texas Initiative was a very strategic move by the institution to try and secure funding for programs that we felt could make an immediate impact on our region. As Dr. Contreras said, working with the manufacturers partnership, we identified in collaboration with those manufacturers, mechanical engineering as a severe need in the region, and move forward on that basis. And this manufacturing partnership has been a wonderful collaboration between the higher education institutions and the manufacturers in the region. We have regular meetings, developed specific strategies to address the needs of the manufacturers, and have tried to follow through on those, and this represents the fruits of that process.
Great, thank you. And Dr. Standing?
I think the only thing that I'd like to add to that is that some of the manufacturers have already supported it with financing. One particular manufacturer set up an endowment several years ago for endowed scholarships, and he specifically said that that endowment can't be touched until till someday a mechanical engineering program can be started, and so that funding has grown, and it's specifically for scholarships for our students. So thank you for this opportunity to talk, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll open it up to board members for questions or comments. Chairman Stedman?
A question and really a couple of questions. So the other state funding here, the 1.2 million, is the part of the funding that the legislature, you asked for the legislature for, that's specifically for this program, right?
Correct.
So the legislature is obviously enthusiastic about your program in Texarkana.
They seem to be, yes.
The second, I thought it was kind of interesting that you had these partnerships or internships, I guess, with the paper mills, and I presume even if, so it's kind of this kind of area of experiential learning, which, as I understand, is a really good thing. But I presume that even though an mechanical engineering student, goes to a paper mill, those skills they would learn on the job would actually translate to other industries if they chose. Is that right?
That's my understanding, but I think Dr. Stadding, who also happens to be an engineer, could address that better.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. In fact, so the one thing about Northeast Texas that a lot of people don't realize is that the number one industry is paper and pulp and wood facilities. We have a number of pulp and paper mills up there. I could say some of the names, but they've changed over time. They used to be companies like International Paper and Weyerhaeuser and Georgia Pacific. They're now names like Domtar and Graphic Packaging. But those folks, those skills absolutely do translate. They focus on controls and systems and power and things like that. And so if the mechanical engineers come out and go into other industries, they can use those same skills.
Yeah, it just seems like a really good component of a program to put people in an actual situation and have them get some experience. Thank you.
Any other comments? Our expert, engineering on our board, Ms. Williams, do you have any comments?
No, I have a question for you. Have the manufacturing firms set up internships for you all?
Yes, actually, they do, and we have an electrical engineering program already, and we have a number of interns each semester, but we also have business and a number of other opportunities for students of all majors. But the industry has been really well supportive of all of our students and all of our graduates, regardless of the major.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Good. Thank you.
And I have a general question, maybe for Dr. C. Being in Texarkana, are you still having a percentage of Texas students in your campus? Or, I mean, since you cover the Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, you're right on the corner. I'm just curious about your overall university.
About 70% of our students come from Texas, although we actually recruit students or attract students from across the country. We represent 20 states and actually 20 different countries in Texarkana. We're converting them to become Texans.
Okay.
But about 20% of our students come from Arkansas. And there are a few Oklahomans too, and a few from Louisiana, but we're predominantly a Texas school.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So move.
Moved by Ms. Williams, a second? Second by Chairman Stedman. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Congratulations, and thank you for being here. We're moving on to agenda item 5C2, which is consideration of adopting the staff recommendation of the committee relating to the request from Texas Tech University for a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, DVM, degree with a major in veterinary medicine. Dr. Silverman will be presenting this item, and we have representatives from Texas Tech University. Dr. Lawrence Chovanec, welcome. Good to see you. Dr. Ted Mitchell, is Chancellor Mitchell here? He's not going to make it?
Mitchell is flying in from New York City. He was there for the basketball game last night.
Congratulations. For those who haven't heard, Texas Tech has defeated number 1 Louisville. Way to go, Texas Tech.
By Professor Genevieve Durham.
Professor Durham, welcome. And Dr. Michael Galian is is provost of Texas Tech University.
Donovan, who will serve as the dean.
Okay, well, thank you for those corrections. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for being here. Would you, Dr. Silverman will do the presentation first.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Farias. The staff recommendation off the bat is for approval. The proposed Doctor of Veterinary Medicine is intended to increase access to affordable veterinary education for Texans and to address the workforce demand for veterinarians that serve the needs of food and fiber animal industries and small agricultural and regional communities across Texas. The proposed program would be located on land adjacent to Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center's Amarillo Regional Academic Health Center. The institution proposes to enroll students beginning in fall 2021. The institution proposes to hire 30 faculty by the beginning of the first year and 30 to 40 faculty by the 5th year. It will also seek accreditation from the American Veterinary Medical Association's Council on Medical Education. The institution estimates the 5-year costs would total $78 million. If approved, the new DVM program would be the second. In your materials, it says the first, but we unfortunately had another state beat us to it. New veterinary degree program established in the United States in approximately 4 decades. Additionally, it would be the second veterinary school in Texas. Coordinating board staff contracted with national experts and conducted a site visit. At the site visit, the institution was able to highlight the workforce demand specifically for large animal veterinarians and demonstrated a high student demand. The institution will provide information related to the new hires and submit 5 annual progress reports, which will document the program's progress, including its hires. And I'll defer any other questions to our representatives from the institution.
Thank you, Dr. Silverman. Yes, please, Dr. Chovanec.
Mr. Chairman, we're very pleased to appear here today before the board. I would like to begin by saying thank you. Thank you to the board for all the cooperation and work throughout this process, and especially to the staff. Ms. Silverman and Mr. Goman did a fabulous job. We could not be more appreciative of the cooperation. So as Ms. Silverman mentioned, this initiative grew out of our desire to serve the needs of the state, to address a worsening veterinary workforce shortage, particularly in rural areas, and also to provide opportunity, an opportunity to students who seek a career in veterinary medicine, but increasingly find that they have to leave the state to receive that education. The location in Amarillo will capitalize upon some synergies that exist between Texas Tech University and the Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center. It would also, we have benefited greatly by the support of many, in particular the city of Amarillo, and many other supporters, the industry, who have helped us raise the $90 million for the teaching facility that will be on that location. I would also like to defer to Dean Gallion, to Dean Lana Reagan, who has been so involved in this process from the beginning, to make any other comments you might like to add.
Thank you, President Skubanak, and thank you to the committee for the opportunity to be here. This project from the beginning has really engaged the industry with which we hope to work, and that really has led to the engagement of the communities. President Skubanek talked about the engagement of Amarillo and the enthusiasm and the fundraising to support the facility infrastructure there. But we've also engaged the veterinary industry throughout this process, And so far, in terms of our practice partners that we have signed on in excess of 25 practice partners. I think what is relevant to that discussion is that those practice partners that provide that experiential learning in the final year will become really important when the students enter their final year in 2024, yet they've already come and signed on in 2019. And so far we have made tremendous progress with them. We have also engaged the accrediting body, and they have performed a very productive consultative site visit, and we look forward to them coming back in the first half of 2020. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. DiCesario, would you like to say a few words?
No, thank you very much. They provided an adequate introduction.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here. Does the board have any questions or any discussion about the proposal?
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, Mr. Torn.
I'm new to the board, so pardon me if this is duplicious from previous appearances. How exactly will your program ensure that the focuses that you have presented, for instance, large animal veterinarians, that is maintained as opposed to just duplicating what's being done other places?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. It begins with a holistic framework for admission, and I'm going to ask Dean Lonergan to go more into the specifics of that admission process and attracting those kind of students who are more inclined to serve the very needs we said that we're going to address.
Thank you. It's an excellent question, and really we are adopting strategies from schools of medicine that have a similar focus on small regional communities, as well as schools of veterinary medicine that have successfully implemented this, and all of them share three things in common. The first is that if you want students to graduate and work in those communities, you need to select students from those communities. Second is the curriculum that is focused on veterinary medicine and veterinary medical success in those communities. And the third approach is experiential learning in those communities. So our program, as we have designed it, is built on those three strategies that other programs have implemented successfully.
And one final question. You talked about the fact that increasingly students who want to obtain a DVM are leaving the state. How significant is that number?
Well, so currently, about 25% at most of those who are licensed annually are educated in the state at the veterinary school at Texas A&M. And the others are receiving their education from outside the state, primarily in surrounding schools like Colorado State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State. But about a quarter to 20% go out of the country into the Caribbean. Those who go out of the country come back with a considerable amount of debt that has an influence upon where they practice and how they practice. But even for those who are educated in the United States, they will have more debt than those who are educated here in Texas. Would you like to add?
I think that sums it up well. Right now, we have more Texans who have to go out of state for their education than can go in state. And to put some numbers on the cost exposure, tuition exposure, in-state tuition within Texas is $24,000 to $26,000 tuition and fees per year. The average out-of-state tuition and fees now is $52,500 per year. And those that go to the Caribbean on average come back with $300,000 in debt. So we have more and more Texans who don't have access to that affordable in-state education.
And finally, this will be my last question. Do you anticipate the doubling of admittees to Texas veterinary programs, DVM programs, to decrease the quality of the student everywhere?
Mr. Torn, when you look at the number of applicants currently to veterinary schools, it's per position greater than, I believe, to human medicine. And so we're very confident that by admitting a class of at most 60 where we're at full capacity, this will have absolutely no effect on the quality of those students.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Raven?
In my trip to Amarillo, one of the things that I was struck with was the number of veterinarians in the state who are above the age of 60. Can you kind of share with the board the information you have regarding that?
Yeah, that's a very significant issue. As to the specific data, I think Guy is the best person to do that.
Across all of Texas, approximately 26% of licensed veterinarians are over the age of 60. In the counties with fewer than 50,000 people, it's in excess of 40% of the population of veterinarians are over the age of 60. So while we have a workforce shortage, that is going to accelerate as those veterinarians over the age of 60 leave the practice and are not being replaced.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raven. For Dr. Logerman, as far as from when I hear people studying this proposal, and by the way, I appreciate both the Chancellor and Ted Mitchell and Dr. Juvenek letting the board members know about the plans and all the detail well in advance, so we appreciate that. But also, in talking to people about this just in the community of veterinarians that I know and being in a healthcare profession, is there any thought later to doing a program similar to a veterinary, and there may be, I don't know, in veterinary school at Texas A&M, I don't know, or others, assistants or like PA programs for human health for veterinary medicine?
So a PA equivalent for veterinary medicine?
Right.
So there are several programs already. There are licensed veterinary technician, certified veterinary associates, and those have been accredited by the AVMA. There has been off and on a program already in Amarillo, so the opportunity to expand in that would really depend on whether the Amarillo College looks to invest in that program again. But certainly there are successful programs, and that demand will dictate whether it warrants an additional program.
Great. And can you comment about the, being a past Healthcare State Association president, how the Veterinary Association in Texas views your proposal and your thoughts?
The State Professional Association is the Texas Veterinary Medical Association. In February, the Board of Directors passed a resolution that supported Texas A&M's effort in their program to expand their access. And also in that resolution, it supported the Texas Tech School of Veterinary Medicine. We have engaged them from the very beginning, and their board is fully supportive of our efforts.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions from the board?
I have a comment and a question.
Yes, Ms. Schwartz.
I'm enthused to see the discussion of some research growth potentially in this area. I think as we try in Texas to grow our life sciences industry, this is an important piece of that. So I'm happy to see that. I just have a question about Texas A&M and some of the information we were given on their class size. There's a note here about how their class size has been constrained because of their existing infrastructure. However, it seems that they're going to have a large growth in class size.
Well,
Who's the question addressed to? Anybody who might know?
I'll take that question. So A&M has opened its new building, so they are going to be able to grow, but their growth is not going to meet the demand.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to make sure those numbers made sense.
Chairman Stedman? Oh. Get Ms. Williams? Sorry, Chairman.
Probably should know this, but didn't the legislatures pass some funding for the Texas Tech?
yes, Ms. Williams, in the last session, they authorized $17.3 million for the next biennium to support the continued planning and beginning of the School of Veterinary Medicine. Prior to that, in the previous session, there had been some seed money of a little over $4 million that enabled us to begin to make some of the first hires and begin the planning for where we are today.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Chairman Stedman?
Okay, so on the funding, you said the Dr. Silverman's presentation says, special item funding, $43 million. And that 17 million is a part of that, so there was other funding that you had from the legislature?
Well, Mr. Stedman, I think Ms. Silverman may have been referring to the expected request over the next few sessions. So we will be requesting non-formula funding. Primarily in the next two sessions, there'll be a very minor amount in the third. And the financial plan for the vet school is developed under the premise that then as enrollment begins through formula and tuition, we will be off of that non-formula funding and existing on those revenues.
Gotcha. But the 17 million is kind of a bird in hand, and that's a significant endorsement by the Texas legislature and the governor who signed it. Another just observation. I mean, so 240 students in year 5 and 65 faculty, and I just did the math. That's 3.6 faculty per student.
Yes.
That's an extraordinary, faculty-student ratio. It kind of that. It's not only expensive, but it sounds like it really would help students learn veterinary medicine.
Yeah, Mr. Stedman, when Dean Lana Reagan first came with the expectations for faculty and staff support, I had the same reaction, so I'm going to let him explain that.
Nationally, the typical number of student-to-faculty ratio is 3-to-1 to 5-to-1. That number of 65 to 70 faculty is premised on the concept that the average faculty member, with variation obviously, will be 40-40-20 in terms of research, instruction, and service. And so given that distribution towards the research component, the instruction component, the clinical instruction component, and the service, that really meets the industry norm for what we're trying to achieve.
And Dr. Silverman, in a medical school, what is that faculty-student ratio typically?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I will find out.
Okay, I'm just curious.
It probably varies by where you are in medical school. So I do know that for first-year residents in family medicine, it's a 1 to 4.
Yeah, okay, so you're in the fairway of what, okay, I just was surprised by that math. So, all right, thank you.
Okay, and so I think my final comment will be kind of Dr. Shuvanek had mentioned about the fact of and going to Mr. Torn's comment, is I think stressing the holistic approach to admissions and also looking at the regional needs and trying to meet those needs are very important, but also the quality of the applicants to make sure that we have the highest quality. Our committee has had some discussion with some other programs in the future about maybe not requiring certain entrance exams or doing some things like that. So I just want to make sure that you stress for your candidates, because of the fact that you brought up the fact about the foreign schools and medical school and things like that, that we continue to strive and have the highest quality as far as your holistic approach to the class, and not only, to meet the class for people to stay in the area, but also to make sure that the quality is top notch.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If not, again, this is a vote from the committee to move to the full board at our special call board meeting about an hour or two from now. So do I have a motion from the committee to accept the staff's recommendation?
I'll move.
Moved by Ms. Schwartz. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Williams. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now moving on to agenda item. As I did mention, this agenda item will be in today's special called board meeting. Agenda item 5C3 is consideration of adopting the staff recommendation of the committee relating to the request for the University of Texas at Tyler for a Doctor of Education, EDD, degree with a major in school improvement. Dr. Silverman will be presenting the item, and we have some guests from the University of Texas at Tyler. Dr. Amir Mirabum, Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs, and Dr. Wesley Hickey, the Dean of College of Education and Psychology, and Dr. Yanira Olivares Ortiz, Assistant Professor. Welcome. Dr. Silverman, would you please do the proposal?
Thank you, Dr. Farias. The proposed fully online program would prepare students for professional practice in educational administration with a primary focus on primary and secondary school turnaround. The institution would build on its existing master's programs in education and would enroll up to 25 students annually. Students would be full-time practicing educators in order to be admitted to the program. The program would be the 6th fully online or 100% online EDD program offered in Texas. However, the institution made the case that it will serve the region, and while there are other programs available online, having a program for professionals from the community would benefit the primary and secondary schools in the area. The institution agrees to hire 1 additional faculty member to start in the 3rd year of the program and will submit 5 annual progress reports, which will include documentation of the hire. The institution estimates that the 5-year cost for the proposed program would be just over $1 million, and the staff recommendation is for approval, and the representatives can address your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Silverman. Yes, Dr. Miramarian. Did I pronounce it? Miramarian? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank the staff at the coordinating board for supporting us and their guidance throughout this process, Dr. Silverman, Ms. Torres, to get us through this program. And I just wanted to make 3 quick points on our vision, on the impact of this program, and on the capacity at UT Tyler to offer this program. Our vision at the University of Texas at Tyler is to serve as the primary economic and education driver in East Texas. That's why all our programs are purposed to be able to serve that mission and vision for UT Tyler. And this program was specifically developed because of many years of partnership of our School of Education with the community. The fact that within the state of Texas, we have over 163,000 students enrolled in low-performing schools. There is no more impactful program that we can offer in East Texas to get us to the goal of 60 by 30 than to help train the leaders, educational leaders in East Texas that will be able to deliver on improving the schools that ultimately get us to that goal. In terms of the capacity, this would be our 6th doctoral program. You entrusted us with those programs in the past. We have delivered, and in fact, earlier this year, Carnegie Classification ranked us as a doctoral university, and we have been able to meet all the requirements for the other doctoral programs that you have, again, entrusted us with. So I want to defer to our Dean of Education and our colleagues from the School of Education who would be able to talk about the specifics of the program.
As we get started, I want to make sure that I give credit to the individuals that really helped put this program together, this proposal together. Certainly the administrative support we have from UT Tyler President Tidwell and Provost Miramaran, incredibly important, along with the other administrators there. Higher Ed Coordinating Board with Kyle Torrey and Jessica Acton really helped as we went through. UT System, Elizabeth Mayer was a big part of things at different points. And then our reviewers that we had from Vanderbilt, UCLA, and Penn State, who provided a lot of feedback in regard to our proposal to try to make it that much stronger. We were very proud of the fact that when the reviewers came in and provided their report, some of the things that they mentioned included the tech support that we had to be able to make this thing work, the motivated and experienced faculty that we had within the School of Education, and especially the idea, and Dr. Miramaran kind of pointed this out, is that incredible community capital. When you look at the needs of East Texas and the state, the idea of providing a background that really tries to address the students that we have in the school and to be able to improve our schools, to increase the capacity and the overall intellectual capital that we have within our schools is going to be vital for the next generation, and we're going to work to try to do that. The bottom line is that being able to put this program in place really does a lot to be able to help UT Tyler with their mission, which is to be the primary educational driver of our area and our region in East Texas.
I've been asked to talk a little bit about the program and what it would look like and how we designed it. So an online EDD in school improvement will provide the UT Tyler faculty with the opportunity to build capacity of educators in East Texas and throughout the state to implement systems that promote continuous improvements in our schools. Our students will be equipped with the knowledge and skill to address the needs of children of color, of economically disadvantaged homes, and linguistically and culturally diverse students. The latest accountability data continues to show that children from diverse backgrounds are in schools that generally perform lower than schools that have lower levels of diverse background, or children of diverse backgrounds. However, based on our work in low-performing schools or diverse schools, we know that with the right tools, all children can achieve at high levels. We have designed a curriculum for practitioners to engage in the work of school improvement by beginning with data analysis and the identification of problems of practice. Throughout their studies, our students will explore models of improvement and change, improvement in science, and design-based implementation research. They will grapple with concepts that would challenge their beliefs about education to create schools where all children are successful and where teachers embrace a culture of collaboration, high expectations, and continuous improvement. By designing curriculum where students start with a problem of practice, our students will not be studying learning and change theories in isolation. As former practitioners who are still engaged in the work of school improvement, we understand that the study of these concepts, as we researchers and scholars explore them, is not what practitioners need to produce the results and improve our schools. Hence, our students will engage in the study of the work of concepts and ideas of change and improvement while doing the work of school improvement. The faculty at UT Tyler School of Education is excited and looking forward to continue our partnership with schools across, school districts across the region and the state to support the work of educators and continuing our work to improve Texas schools. I want to take the opportunity to thank Provost Mirmaran and Dean Hickey for allowing me the opportunity to be part of this exciting journey. It's been a long process, and I couldn't have done all the work without their support and the support of the rest of the team, Dr. Odell, and our former Dean, Dr. Sherman. I know I speak for our team. We cannot wait to welcome our first cohort of students.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Yes, Chairman Stedman.
So I see this sentence, the proposed Doctor of Education program aims to address this issue by training educational leaders in the principles and practice of school turnaround. I mean, look, I'm not an expert at all, sort of outsider looking in, but is there like courses in politics and government embedded in this? Isn't that part of the issue in school turnaround sometimes is, you know, the political will to get it done?
Yeah, I would say that without a doubt, the political will is certainly an important part. I know we have, and based upon the recommendations of the external reviewers, we work to try to really create some experiences that practitioners need. And one of them that we have actually is spending time here in Austin, and we're going to be going through and meeting with the different groups that have a big impact on making decisions in regard to school improvement and what's going on in schools. And one of the things is that not only do we want to make sure that individuals know the steps that need to be taken at the local level, and they're vital. I mean, obviously, our local boards and even the politics involved in there is very important, but we also have a number of groups that exist at the state level that we need to understand how to work through to be able to be effective even more globally.
Mr. Raven.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess my question is, I guess I'm a little confused when you say school improvement. What is it about your curricula that will help? I mean, what degree of brokenness in a school will your curricula be designed to address?
Well, I think there are a number of things. We worked with schools. We have a lot of experiences working with schools in our area. As a matter of fact, we recently, with UT System, provided funds in this Texas Turnaround Initiative in which we stepped forward and worked with a low-performing school in our area. So what is broken in schools that need to be fixed? In a lot of ways, there's any number of things. I don't know if you've seen the Effective Schools framework that Texas Education Agency has put out. And it includes certainly the leadership component and trying to provide the culture and the leadership that kind of surrounds the entire school to be able to provide the support and the training for that. The development of teachers through both instructional coaching, an appropriate curriculum, because if you're not teaching what needs to be known, then obviously the students aren't going to perform well in any of the areas they need to go. In several things like that. But bottom line is there are steps that can be taken to improve areas. For example, we oftentimes do an early needs assessment in any school that we go into to determine whether or not there are some leadership needs that we need to be able to work with right away. But some of the very early areas, when you look at diverse student bodies, is many times they come to school, or when they enter into that third grade year, when they're starting to have to perform on tests and various things like that, they don't have the background needed. So what we find many times is being able to go and start very early to make sure that we create the foundation as it goes through. But every school is different, so that's why we have to determine through a needs assessment exactly what type of targeted approach we need to move forward in order to make changes beneficial for the individuals there.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, quickly,
Yes,
you
Ms. Schwartz?
mentioned in here that there's 163,000 students who attended low-performing schools in 2018. About how many schools is that? Do you know?
I believe, if I remember correctly, I couldn't tell you the number, but I know it's around 40% of the schools in Texas received a grade below a B. Actually, it might be including a C, but it is a large percentage of schools, especially schools in that serve diverse students.
Seems like a cohort of 25 is not enough to address the issue.
Yes, comments? Mr. Torn?
Yeah, as I'm looking at your funding, you have a 5-year cost of just over $1 million, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and you have 5-year funding of $4.5 million. So what happens to the rest of the money?
Used to help support, initiatives that we have to improve schools. So,
So you need $3.5 million, which is 3.5 times your annual budget to provide support for that?
There is what, I don't know, Dr. Membrane, if you want to take anything.
I think the funding, the way it's calculated is based on the formula funding and the tuition, and this would allow us to actually put some of that funding back into the school districts in working together with those schools. We were not, as part of the proposal, asked to actually develop how that funding would be used beyond the support for the program. But the idea is that the funding actually would be able to help those school districts that would engage with us as we would train their educational leaders as well.
So I guess my question would be, for my information as a novice, is it typical for a program to come before the board and have 3.5 times excess funding over the cost of the program?
Dr. Silverman can address that as a staff. So, Mr. Torn, so the staff reviews all that, so that's a good question. Dr. Silverman, can you address that?
Yes, thank you. So in calculating the 5-year funding, we actually look at what the formula is going to generate for that proposed program. And I'll remind everyone that even though the formula funding is generated by a particular program, the institution is not obligated to use that money for that particular program. So there is a disconnect, if you will, between what the formula generates for an institution and what they are required to expend it on. So it's a positive thing that the institution's going to be generating more in formula funding than the cost of the program. The concern would be if the program cost more than it was going to generate in the funding. So at that point, then it would be, where are you going to get the money to cover the program? But clearly, the institution estimates that they're going to be generating enough funding to cover the costs. And then that extra funding generation can be used to do additional initiatives within the institution. And I will point out that these are just estimates as well. So looking at
So I think one perspective is the formula is sort of automatic. It depends on, number of students and then also complexity of the program. So PhD programs get more money per student than, say, an English undergraduate program. So when you add those two up, really the implication is this is a pretty low-cost PhD program, right? Is that, Stacy, is that right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Is there any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. McKenzie?
Thank you. So could you elaborate on your partnerships with schools that you kind of just touched on about using that excess funding, of what that partnership would look like, especially since this is an online program?
Yeah, so we have a history of working with schools in our area. When you look at, in the past there was an issue, I guess what they called it in the state of Texas, professional service providers who would go out and assist low-performing schools. And we kind of looked at the individuals that had done that in the School of Education over the past 10 years or so. And we probably stepped in and been a part of and helped turn around 30-plus different school districts or school campuses in the area who were having issues with student performance, and so being a part of that. One of the latest takes place is a school district in Smith County that we've been working with, and some of the things that we've been able to do with some funding is included providing some instructional coaches in some targeted areas that we're able to go in there. Oftentimes in today's environment is that the pipeline for teachers is not as strong as we'd like it to be, and sometimes there are teachers that are in schools are oftentimes forced to do a lot of the preparation work once they are in the classroom. And we provided some instructional coaches to help make that happen. We also did some things there to provide some summer reading camps in order to, again, try to address the kindergarten through second grade students who are from low socioeconomic families and may not have the supports to be able to get that foundation early on. So we wanted to try to make sure we tried to address that as well. And so those were some of the areas that we tried to spend some funds on.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Torn, did you get that? Do you have any other comments or questions? Since you're new to the board, I want to make sure.
Not at this time.
Okay. And later, the staff can give you more details, obviously.
Sure.
We can,
Thank you.
as any new board members, anything you have questions, the staff is great about getting you information and just request that. And so we can always get good data from them as well, or background information. Okay, any other discussion on this? I just had a quick comment. Dr. Hickey, I noticed that you're the Dean of the College of Education, but also psychology. How'd that work out?
Actually, it works out fairly well. I mean, one of the issues that when we talk about even this EDD, is that a lot of times when you're looking at students that aren't performing well or from tough backgrounds, is there are oftentimes mental health issues there as well. And so having that connection has been valuable for us.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so do I have a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So move.
Moved by Ms. Williams. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Schwartz. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Next, agenda item 5C4 is consideration of adopting the staff recommendation of the committee relating to the request from the University of Houston for a Bachelor of Science BS degree with a major in Computer Engineering and Analytics. Dr. Silverman will be doing the presentation, and we have some guests from the University of Houston at Katy. Dr. J.R. Rayo is the Associate Dean for Engineering Programs at the University of Houston at Katy. Welcome. And Dr. Badrithan, can you please pronounce that for me? How did the first name? Badrina, and the last name, Roysum. He is the Department Chair of Electrical and Computer Engineering. And then Dr. Leonard Trombetta, which is Associate Department Chair of the Electrical and Computer Engineering. Welcome. Dr. Silverman.
beginning in fall 2020. Face-to-face program would be offered at Community College. Deliver engineering. Students will be enrolled in both institutions. Computer engineering. The needs of students who are in analytics, healthcare, manufacturing, aerospace. Thank you. Sorry about that. The institution estimates the 5-year cost will be about $3.7 million, and it will seek ABET accreditation at the earliest opportunity. The staff recommendation is for approval, and we've got our guests here to address any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Silverman, and welcome, Dr. Rayo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As vital as engineering is in the greater Houston area, our students do very well. As Houston has grown, our college has grown, our university has grown, we have in recent years received significant input and requests from the west side of Houston in the greater Katy area that we would like U of H to have a big presence here as well. And so that is what led us and led up to what we are very happy to say 4 months ago, our U of H Katy campus opened. What programs should we offer there? Because engineering was a big demand. And for that, we went about in a very systematic way. We hired a national research survey firm, Hanover Research, to see what are the programs that would serve the industry-specific needs in that area and what are not currently being served. And so this is the first of the 3 programs that we are bringing here today. Not only did we identify this as something which would be not duplicative, anything on our main campus, but which serves the need, but then we went ahead and added this extra step of partnership with Houston Community College. So I want to briefly explain how we think this is going to be a big winner for us, and particularly for the students. We already have very good articulation agreements with all the community colleges in the greater Houston area, and in fact, we get transfer students from across the state. Currently, transfer students would come typically after the first year into their community college journey, but sometimes even after they finish their associate's degree. But usually we see students jumping early. But until they come and enter our door and come on orientation, we don't have a touch point with them. This is an academy model where students will be co-enrolled, dual enrolled from day one. They will have 2 ID cards in their pockets. They will be U of H Cougar Engineering students from day one. They'll be able to tell themselves and their family they are U of H Cougar Engineering students. And we will teach them engineering courses with our regular faculty during the lower division, freshman and sophomore year, and everything else will be at the nearby Katy campus by HCC. So the big win for this is we expand, this provides much greater access to our degrees in the Cullen College, but from the student's point of view, the lower division is going to come in at significantly lesser cost because they'll most of their courses will be with the community college, whose tuition is only a fraction of what ours is. So they will finish the lower division in a very advantageous position. So in summary, these are 3 new programs. They do not duplicate what we have. They are sister programs, but they are new. We feel they are industry relevant. And 2, we have partnership that increases access at significantly lower cost to our students. And Katy is growing so fast. Every time you meet a political leader from Katy, they say, Katy is bigger than Pittsburgh, and it's growing fast. So we are excited about the possibilities. And I'll now request the chairman of the program, Dr. Royson, to speak.
Mr. Chairman and respected members of the board, thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk about our exciting new program. This particular program represents a blend of subjects that is actually state-of-the-art. In other words, it's a nationally pioneering model that we have created. It's also very timely, and it's also badly needed by the oil and gas industry, the manufacturing industry, and also the retail analytics and healthcare industries in the greater Houston and especially the Katy area. So our Katy campus, which is a beautiful campus, I hope you get the chance to visit, is located right at the intersection of I-10, which is the oil and gas corridor and the subsea industry corridor and the Grand Parkway. So it's a perfect location that provides an abundant supply of internship opportunities for our students. Also, if you look at the industry trends, things are more digital than ever, and they're becoming even more so. So what we've been able to do in this program is to put in topics that are in high demand. For example, our students need to be able to control complex systems, especially, like a complex refinery type systems. There's a lot of communication involved, and also a lot of these things are at risk for cybersecurity issues. So we're also going to teach them, a basic level of cybersecurity, machine learning, analytics, robotics with an industrial focus. So I truly feel that this is a program that has a chance to become a national model for other large cities with large industries, and it's also it takes care of new topics like the industrial Internet of Things, and our control systems projects will be all industrially oriented. So we feel that this is an exciting new program for the department and for the university as a whole, and we welcome your questions.
Thank you. Dr. Trombetta?
Yes, thanks for the opportunity, Mr. Chairman and Board. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Studies for the Electrical and Computer Engineering Department, so I was happy to work with Dr. Royson in developing the undergraduate curriculum, especially as relates to the fundamental courses. So I'm happy to answer specific questions, but beyond that, I will defer to my chairman.
Okay, thank you all. Question, Chairman Stedman.
Okay. Dr. Silverman, or everybody. I don't know if you've seen Dr. Silverman's write-up, but this is very strange. For each of your proposals, you have this job market need strong and student demand weak. So maybe they're just not paying enough. I mean, so reconcile those two, observations.
Well, I think you're pointing out a very important and something we can actually take a look at. When we say student demand is weak, we show that an institution either did not, for example, increase their enrollment. They didn't have high student enrollment in other similar programs, and they didn't conduct student surveys. So that is what we've answered no to here, and that's why we say it's weak. That doesn't mean there's not student demand. It's really kind of a flaw in our blue page, honestly.
Yeah, it's misleading because, I mean, you would think that if the market demands it, they're going to pay the wages and the salaries to attract those students. And this is all three programs, I mean, to me, not an engineer, but it all just seemed, yeah, this is the future. This is what the workforce really demands. But yeah, so you'll think you'll get the students.
Oh, we are confident that we will exceed the numbers that we have presented. These numbers are very conservative. If we look at the kinds of salaries that our students are getting, they're very impressive. My own son is an alumnus.
Well, let me ask another question. So I think that would be the answer I would anticipate. I just saw this for each of the programs that you're proposing. Anyway, the second question, so tell me about why the partnership with HCC works, or why you went that direction, and why didn't you just say, well, we're going to do it ourselves?
Let me take that. I think there are several aspects that motivated us. The first thing is that HCC, we have a very deep and golden partnership with them. They are very, very good partners to us. Second, this is our first building on what we hope will be a larger campus, and we are one of 3 occupants. This building 1 is shared by UFH Engineering, UFH Nursing, and UFH Victoria. So space is at a premium, labs are at a premium. So if we had to do all of it ourselves, there just wasn't enough space. Then then the HCC Katy campus is just almost stone's throw away. So we just said this is a good model. And in many ways, there is a little competitive thing here. This academy model, this is the first time for us, Cullen College of Engineering, but A&M has been ahead of us in this game. They have almost the same model with Blinn and several other, Austin Community College and Alamo College and all that. So we wanted both a big access play in the West Houston area. We wanted to leverage our partnership with HCC, and we just thought, the lower cost that it represents to the students was a win.
Yeah, that's very clever. Particularly, the lower cost for the students. That's a big deal. So, thank you.
It also gives us the opportunity to focus our energies on what we are best at.
Comments?
Just
Schwartz?
a question, too.
Yes.
For the skills that these students are getting at HCC, are they able to get certified certificates in any of these skill sets, or are the certifiable skills coming more at the University of Houston level?
So the model is that students will finish the academy and then matriculate for the upper division to UFH, and then they would have their Associates of Engineering Science degree from HCC, and then 2 years later, bachelor's from us.
I have a comment. For some of the other institutions that have done this before you guys, did you all work with them to find out some of their best practices to make sure, since they've already done it, and you don't want to repeat what they did?
I think this is competitive, right? But we know that, and in fact, our good source of information is HCC itself, because A&M and HCC have a 4-year-old academy right there, and that has worked very well for them. And in fact, it gets oversubscribed. They cap their incoming cohort, I believe, to 80. And already we are seeing even our admits for the next fall has just started. Our websites have opened, and we are just seeing very high demand. We are targeting an incoming cohort in the very first year of 200 students, and we feel that we'll have no difficulty meeting that. There's just a lot of demand. And that area, and it's not just the Katy area, it's the southwest to the northwest, that big arc that we draw a lot of students from. And if these degrees come into play, then these students will be able to start and finish in Katy. That's going to be our big selling point. They'll be close to home, low cost in the lower division. So.
All right, thank you.
Because commuting can be a big difficulty coming from Katy to Houston. So
Yes.
this program will also drop that barrier and help increase the overall numbers of students who would be interested in programs like this.
I have a young lady that works on my staff that lives in Katy, and we're at Intercontinental.
Oh.
And it takes her at least an hour and a half almost to get there, not because of the geography, but because of the traffic.
We feel her pain.
Yeah, I know.
There's no further discussion. Do I have a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So move.
Moved by Ms. Williams. Do I have a second? Second by Chairman Stedman. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you all for being here.
We thank you.
The second of the proposal, agenda item 5C4, is consideration of adopting the staff recommendation of the committee relating to the request from the University of Houston for a Bachelor of Science BS degree with a major in computer engineering and analytics. That's the first one we just did. The second one is the construction BS Bachelor of Science with a major in construction engineering, 5C5. Dr. Silverman.
Thank you, Dr. Farias. Similar to the last proposal, the institution is proposing this face-to-face program to be offered at its Katy campus. Again, it is a partnership between U of H and Houston Community College and would offer students an additional option for pursuing an engineering degree in the area. HCC would deliver the lower division core curriculum math and science courses, while U of H would deliver engineering and upper division coursework. The proposed program combines civil engineering and business principles to produce graduates who can design and manage the construction processes that create and rehabilitate public infrastructures, including the design and construction of commercial buildings, airports, dams, roads, utilities, bridges, residential communities, and schools. The institution agrees to hire 2 core faculty in the first year of the program's operation and 2 additional core faculty in the second year. The institution will also seek ABET accreditation and estimates that the 5-year cost would be around $3.4 million. The staff recommendation is for approval, and I'll defer the questions to our guests.
Great. For those of you keeping score here and also online, we're on agenda item 5C5, consideration of adopting the request from University of Houston for a Bachelor of Science. This one is a degree for major in construction engineering. Dr. Rayo is again with us, Associate Dean for Engineering Programs at the University of Houston at Katy. We welcome Dr. Roberto Bellinari, Department Chair for Civil and Environmental Engineering, and Dr. Reagan Herman, Director of Civil Engineering, undergraduate program and instructional professor. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you again. As I said, my previous remarks apply to the second of our 3 programs here as well. We are excited about all 3 of them, obviously. Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Dr. Suleiman. Let me, for the program-specific questions, let me defer to my colleague and chair of the Civil Engineering Program and the leader of this new proposed program, Dr. Ballerini.
Thank you. Pardon me if I cough a little bit. I have allergies. So yes, we're very excited about this new program. As Dr. Rao mentioned before, we looked at this very carefully, what kind of programs in Katy will not reproduce what we have at the main campus. And again, the role of our faculty and myself as the chair is to identify, explore, and develop vibrant new programs, timely programs that will attract very talented students, give access to these to students in general, and contribute to the local economy. The infrastructure is its importance is ever increasing nationally, statewide, and of course in Houston. And this program, I think, will go a long way. It's kind of it's a program basically that's going to be engineering based. It's not, let's say, technically based. It's basically students that have a pathway to getting licensure, which is very, very important. And again, we want to meet the demand of the local industry. There is on page 4 and 5 of the proposal, going back to the question about demand, we did do some studies in terms of polls of the national firms that are working in the construction industry, and all signs indicate that there is demand for such graduates. In general, as Dr. Rao mentioned before, this is a good idea that gets better and better as we go along. And I think one of the really important things that's coming out of this with the Houston Community College partnership is this access to make education really lower cost, especially in the first 2 years. Personally speaking, I was a very poor immigrant. I went to college simply because the City College in New York was free at the time. Otherwise, I would not be able to go to college. So this idea is getting better and better because of this development with the partnership. Not only that, as an aside, in terms of diversity, many of the students that I've met, especially at the University of Houston, are first-generation students. Many of them, their parents actually work in construction-related industries. And this gives them some access to eventually become licensed as engineers to work in that industry and also become, let's say, owners of companies. This is kind of something that I think is very, very promising. We don't have any data, specific data, it's anecdotally, but I suspect that this is going to be one of the great outcomes of all of this. So with that, I'll Go to our Director of Undergraduate Studies, which is the pillar of our department.
Dr. Herman, welcome.
So I just add to Dr. Ballerini's comments in terms of the safety aspect of construction. Obviously, with the New Orleans hotel collapse and the multiple crane collapse, that there's a big safety concern on the construction site. And so when you don't have an engineer on site who's been actually trained in design and the force flow in these structures, that I would say there's some concerns that may be missed on the job site. And so that the role that the construction engineer plays is critical in that regard, and having people educated so that they can become professional engineers and be in that area of the industry, I think will be of great benefit.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt the staff recommendation? Moved by Ms. Williams, second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Schwartz. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Agenda item 5C6 is the consideration of adopting the staff recommendation to the committee relating to the request from the University of Houston for a Bachelor of Science degree with a major in systems engineering. Dr. Silverman will do the presentation, and we welcome up Dr. Rao will stay, of course, Associate Dean for Engineering Programs at the University of Houston at Katy. We welcome Dr. Gino Lim, Department Chair, Industrial Engineering, welcome, and Dr. Yaping Wang, as Instructional Assistant Professor. Dr. Silverman.
Thank you, Dr. Farias. The last of the new degree programs on the agenda is similar to the other two proposed by University of Houston in that the proposed face-to-face program would be offered by U of H through a partnership agreement with Houston Community College, again with Houston Community College delivering the lower division core curriculum, math and science courses, and U of H delivering the engineering and upper division coursework. The proposed program would provide students with a foundational core engineering education, including an understanding of all subsystems within a complex system, and provide hands-on training through real-world applications. Students would be prepared to adapt their knowledge and expertise to different industrial environments in Texas and the greater Houston area, especially in the areas of oil and gas, healthcare services, manufacturing, aerospace, and transportation. If approved, the institution will hire 4 new faculty, 1 in each of the first 4 years of the program, and would seek national accreditation. The institution estimates the 5-year cost would be just over $4 million, and the staff recommendation is for approval. And I'll defer to the representatives from the institution.
Dr. Rao.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Dr. Suleiman. Again, I'm reiterating that this program, again, jumped at us from the significant survey that we did, and again, it is complementary to our existing offerings on the main campus. I'll just mention one anecdotal incident that we had right off of campus. This is at the new Katy campus, I-10 and Grand Parkway. Right across the street is the big Memorial Hermann Hospital, and you would think that they reached out to us about a year ago, and they wanted to talk to people in the College of Engineering. And it was an exploratory meeting, but it turned out to be very interesting. And they were offering projects for students to do both as internships and a capstone, because they said a big thing that they deal with is how to schedule operations of various facilities within this large facility, how to schedule the operating theaters, how to schedule the various big expensive stations for diagnostics and so on. And right now it is a lot of sticky notes. And so that is one of the things, that how to optimize those kind of processes. They wanted to reach out to us, in a program like that with an audience right across from the street, I think, is well placed. Let me defer to Dr. Lim, our department chair.
Thank you. Again, I don't want to bore you with saying the same thing, but we are proposing this for multiple reasons. Over the years, I've been working with the ELB Engineering Leadership Board members, Industrial Advisory Board members. Repeatedly, they ask us to offer systems engineering program. And especially now, Katie, I think previously my colleagues mentioned about oil and gas sector on Katie. So this is something that I wish I could say we initiate this thing. I think came from the part of the community. So now they call for, that's what they need. We are trying to deliver what they are looking for. So everything else is in the proposal. So I leave that private floor to Dr. Wang.
Thank you. I again want to take the opportunity to thank all of the coordinating board members and staff for your guidance throughout the process, especially for asking good questions that help us to put together a much better proposal. And we are very excited and pleased with our curriculum design, which will teach the student the solid fundamental knowledge base in the system engineering and interdisciplinary methodologies and skill set that will enable the graduates to successfully design, development, and management navigate the increasingly complex systems across a wide range of industrials. And at the early stage of this program, and we want to focus on the 4 leading industrials, as we mentioned in the proposal, in the greater Houston area. I want to add one more point in terms of the student demand. And student demand, our current enrollment projection for this program is rather conservative, considering the fact that the only similar program at the Texas A&M International University had an average annual enrollment of 194 in the past 5 years, which is more than 70% than our current projection of 113, not even to mention the fact that Houston has a population of 2.6 million, which is almost 10 times as many as the population in the city Laredo, where the Texas A&M International University is located right now. And also Houston has an advantage of having a very vibrant industrial base, and we believe that we will experience a higher enrollment than we predicted. Also, we want to add that we were not able to find some exact data on qualified applicants rejected at similar programs in the state or the nation. But considering the fact that currently there is only one similar undergrad program in the state of Texas, many of the taxing qualified applicants, they are forced to, if they're interested in pursuing a bachelor degree in system engineering, they will be forced to leave to other states to pursue their academic dream. And also based on the current, our current research, by talking to some of the local employers, we learned that many of the current system engineering practitioners or talents in Houston, they hold a master's degree or PhD degree in system engineering from other states. And some of them only have a certification from the International Council on System Engineering. So we feel that there is a huge demand for system engineering talent in Houston area and the nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Chairman Stedman.
Okay, this might be maybe you addressed it, but so what is systems engineering? What is it? Are you talking about computer network systems? Are you talking about robotics? What exactly? What's the primary use or application of this major?
So traditionally, systems engineering was part of the coming from aerospace, where things are very complex. And then as the technology has advanced over the years, the decision-making problems are getting more complicated, complex. So it has been an issue with the oil and gas sector we've been working with, healthcare sector, where I want to optimize a subcomponent, it turns out that optimizing subcomponent alone is not optimal for the whole system. So we're trying to teach students how to design this as a system, as the system as a whole rather than subcomponent optimization. So decision-making problems, so we teach optimization, simulation, systems of thinking, system design, verification, validation. These are currently lacking in the engineering education, so we're trying to deliver that portion.
Yeah, that's interesting, and just intellectually, that seems like a really good thing. In other words, that could apply to anything, running a business, or, I mean, just doing whatever you're doing, looking both at the component parts and then seeing that relationship into the whole. Anyway, I'm just curious, very interesting.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Questions? Okay, thank you. So if there's no further discussion, yes.
I'd like,
Chairman.
since I now understand the subject, I would like to make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion.
I understand what
for
systems
Mr.
engineering are.
Stedman, second by Mr. Raven, who also understands it, I take it. Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Dr. Suleiman. And I once again want to thank Dr. Audra Patridge. She's been amazing for us. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Okay, so at this time, we're on to agenda item 5D, which is schedule lunch. So we are going to take a 30-minute break. The committee will now break for lunch, and while a quorum will likely be present, no public business or public policy over which the board has supervision or control will be discussed. We will intend to convene approximately 30 minutes from now, which would be at 11:50, if serves me correct. So around 11:50, we'll convene again for this committee meeting. Thank you.
Oh, you got a gavel, now you're.
Well, what I don't understand is, I get it, that's their cost or depletion, okay? Right. I get that. And fees and use it for something else. But if you look at the formula funding for that particular program,
Okay, it is now 11:56 p.m. and welcome back to the committee meeting of the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board Committee on Academic and Workforce Success. I wanted to go back to review a item on 5C6, which was approved. I'd asked for a motion, and we had a motion. We had a second, and I wanted to have a second because Mr. Raven made the second, and he's actually not on the committee. But just for a reminder, all board members are welcome to any of the committee meetings, but only those can vote for a motion or a second that are actually on the committee. So do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Williams. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes now with Ms. Williams second. Thank you, though, Mr. Raven, for being helpful as much as possible.
Well, never stopped me from asking a question, but
Yes, well, that's right, that's right. Okay, so we've got that organized in the minutes, and so we are going to move on after lunch to Agenda Item 5E, which is consideration of adopting the Lower Division Academic Course Guide Manual, ACGM, Advisory Committee's recommendation to the committee relating to changes to the ACGM. Dr. Silverman will present this item.
Thank you, Dr. Farias. The Lower Division Academic Course Guide Manual, also called the ACGM, is the official list of lower division courses approved for general academic transfer that may be offered by a public, community, and technical colleges in Texas. The ACGM is developed with the input of an advisory committee charged to provide recommendations to the board, and the ACGM Advisory Committee met October 15th and reviewed selected courses in the disciplines of art, drama theater, and history. Discipline faculty work groups of the ACGM Learning Outcomes Project for 2019 developed the courses. The committee recommends the modifications and additions of the courses shown in the board material on your blue pages. The committee chairs could not attend this meeting, which is why I'm presenting this item to you this afternoon.
Okay, is there any further discussion or questions for Dr. Silverman on this topic? If not, do I have a motion to adopt the advisory committee's recommendation?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Williams, a second? Second, thank you, Ms. Schwartz. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. Agenda item 5F is consideration of adopting the staff recommendation to the committee relating to the request from Vernon College for a branch campus maintenance tax election. Dr. Silverman will be presenting this item, and then we'll have questions and discussion. We do have a representative, Dr. Dusty Johnston, in the audience, who's the president of Vernon College. Thank you and welcome. Dr. Silverman.
Thank you, Dr. Farias. When a community college wants to hold an election to increase its branch campus maintenance tax, it is required to obtain coordinating board approval to do so. Vernon College requests approval to hold a branch campus maintenance tax election in Wichita County in the coming year to support Vernon College's operation and to establish a branch campus in Wichita County. Proceeds from the branch campus maintenance tax would be used to fund the future expansion of the Century City Center and the Skills Training Center. And additional workforce and healthcare programs are also planned. After the passage of the branch campus maintenance tax, residents of Wichita County would benefit by not being required to pay out-of-district tuition and fees to attend Vernon College. Currently, Wichita County residents pay $95 per semester credit hour, while Wilbarger County residents pay $50 per semester credit hour. A student taking 15 semester credit hours per semester would save an estimated $1,350 per year by paying in-district tuition and fees compared to out-of-district rates. And again, Dr. Johnson is here from Vernon College.
Great. Welcome, Dr. Johnston. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, sir. I would. I appreciate it. My name is Dusty Johnston. The Board of Trustees of Vernon College allowed me to be the president the last 10-plus years. This has been discussed for over 20 years, this opportunity. As you might have seen from the history, our CAWS was voted in 70 in Wilbarger County, campus classes started in 72 in Vernon, Texas, but in 75, the college moved over to Wichita Falls and has been conducting classes in various locations since then. In my past 10 years, we've been working on this very hard, and in some of the classes that I teach in leadership, I cite this as today's activity coming to this point as 10 years of effective relationship building in Wichita County between me and various leaders and my staff and my board members as well. The bottom line to the whole deal is we, community colleges, as you all know, have our local tax base. In 1970, that was voted in by Will Barger County, which just happens to be the third smallest tax base in the state and the 7th highest tax rate in the state. That's a real interesting thing to work with sometimes. But our population of Vernon is 10,000. The population of Wichita Falls is 100,000. The population of Wichita County is a little over 115,000. So you can see back in the 70s why the college would move that direction to create enrollment. Plus, Wichita County is well served by liberal arts university, Midwestern State University, but they had no technical programs or no comprehensive community college at that time. And so it evolved in the past, since about 75, to be honest. Personally, this question is way past due, in my opinion, but thanks to some leaders in the community that stepped up, that served on this steering committee, we worked all fall, all spring and summer in developing this proposal. Submitted in August. They're waiting patiently to see what happens next, because this is really the first step of many, many other steps. If this is approved by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, the next step for us is to go to the authority then lies into the county commissioners of Wichita County to place it on a ballot. They don't have to say, I like it or I don't like it, but they have to say, we're willing to place it on a ballot. And then from there, it goes to a countywide election, of which, as you know, we need 51% of the people to pass it. So with that, I'd answer any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Johnston. Any questions or comments for Dr. Johnston? Chairman Stedman?
Okay, so why, this seems like a very specific sort of a grant of authority that we have. I mean, like, not specific, extraordinarily narrow. Why do we have this? What's the big picture concern that the legislature might have had that we need to scrutinize these maintenance taxes?
I'm trying to find the statutory reference for you, but it is something that is required in statute. So why?
But I know, but it's required in the statute, but I'm really talking about who's concerned, what's the big picture purpose? And we used to, I'm not sure we did branch campuses, but new campuses we'd approve, which not, that authority is taken away from us, but we still have this one. Why?
So if you want to weigh in, Stacy, you'd mentioned that that Wichita County was outside the taxing district, but still in the service area.
Right.
So the new tax would allow the residents to pay in-district
yes, sir.
rates.
Just to help with that, because I've studied this for a number of years trying to figure out all those same questions. First of all, it is statutory. We as a community college, we do that. We have to come through you. And surprisingly, the codes, the 2 or 3 codes that affect this are very detailed. I mean, the proposal that we submitted was very specific and very detailed according to statute, and it covers a wide range of information. My perception is that it shouldn't be a frivolous thing. At the same time, I wonder, why do I come here when my next step is to get the county commissioners to put on an election and the voters to vote for it? Right. But I think it's a matter of just oversight. I will tell you that of the 50 community colleges, there are only 7 examples of a branch campus maintenance tax. There are more examples of people who have annexed counties to their current tax district. That's not palatable in my situation, because when you annex, everyone pays the same tax rate. When you do a branch campus maintenance tax, it is limited to 5 cents per $100 of evaluation.
Okay, well, anyway, I was just trying to get the big picture concern, why it's kind of in our lap. But that's fine. I think you probably have a more difficult task at the county commissioner level. Or more challenging.
More challenging.
They have the money, we don't, right?
Well, they don't, all they do, quite honestly, is agree to let it go to a ballot. I think that task will be okay. From there, it becomes a campaign. It's just like any other campaign to win an election. The timing of this, I wanted to mention, when we first started this in spring and summer, one of our best partners, of course, is Wichita Falls Independent School District, and our largest partner. And they are working on a large, significant local bond measure, and we thought it was going to be fall of 2020, and that changed. We thought it was going to fall of 2019. Then it looked like it was going to move to spring of 2019. And right now, it appears it may be all the way to fall of 2020. My point to bring that up is our timeline is geared by that because we've committed to our largest partner not to go before them or at the same time as them in an election cycle. So it could be, for us, unfortunately, it could be May of 2021 before we get to the ballot.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions? Yes, Dr. Silverman?
I did find the actual requirement. It's in the Education Code chapters 130.086 and 130.087.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Williams, second? Second by Chairman Stedman. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, guys, and we'll keep
Okay.
everybody informed, and thank you for your help, Dr. Silver.
Thank you for being here. Our next agenda item is 5G, consideration of adopting the certification, that is, of Advisory Council and the Commissioner's recommendation to the committee relating to a request from Southwest School of Art for a fourth certificate of authority to grant degrees in Texas. Dr. Silverman will present the item, and we have a guest here. This is Paula Owen, who is correct. Yes. Ms. Owen is the president of Southwest School of Art, which I believe is in San Antonio, right?
It is.
Okay, great. Dr. Silverman?
Thank you. Southwest School of Art in San Antonio is seeking approval for its fourth Certificate of Authority to award a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree. A Certificate of Authority is issued for 2-year periods. Institutions may be granted successive Certificates of Authority for a total of 8 years. After 8 years, absent sufficient cause, the institution must have obtained accreditation from an accrediting body recognized by the coordinating board. The Certificate of Authority would be SSA's final Certificate of Authority and would be valid from January 2020 to January 2022. The Certification Advisory Council and the Commissioner's recommendation is for approval, with the stated conditional requirements included in the board materials, primarily focused on ensuring that the institution keeps staff informed of any difficulties they encounter while seeking accreditation by SAC-COC. And again, Ms. Owen is here to address your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Silverman. Ms. Owen, would you like to say a few words, please?
Yes, I'd first like to thank Dr. Silverman and Kathy Mayert and the rest of the staff for their assistance along this tortured journey, and for you today to hear our case. Southwest School of Art began in 1965, but the degree program was added in 2014 because Texas does not have another independent College of Art, and we thought it was about time for Texas to have a College of Art. Since we launched the degree program, we have had some interesting developments with our accreditation process because we began to work with the National Association of Schools of Art and Design because we could achieve accreditation through NASAD sooner than through SACS, but we always intended to achieve both accreditation from both agencies. During the process, NASAD decided that they were not going to apply to be on the list of approved agencies for primary accreditation in Texas. They had some discrepancies, difference of philosophy with the code. And so we had to turn quickly to SACS. So we find ourselves in a situation where time is short, but we believe that we will be able to make it through the process and achieve accreditation actually from both agencies.
Thank you. Any comments or questions for Ms. Owen? So for those of you that are listening in the audience and online, as you listened to the proposals and over the years, but more specifically, you notice they're always thanking our staff. Our staff does a great job of helping these programs come together. So I like it when everybody echoes that, but everyone needs to realize there's a lot of hours, years spent on these proposals, and there's behind the scenes things that go on that we're not rushing through these things. These have been well documented and vetted, but I like it when the presenters emphasize the part about the staff, because I see it firsthand over the last several years. And when I did the talk at the leadership meeting for Texas Higher Education, my assignment was to the new Board of Regents and Trustees, and I let them know we're here to help them. We're here to help the schools and the universities be able to get their proposals. We're not here to try to be, tough and rough. We want it to be high quality, but we also want to let you know that our staff is available and the Higher Education Coordinating Board is available to make you successful, to have better opportunities for our students and for better education in our state. So I appreciate you mentioning that as well, Ms. Owen. Any questions for Ms. Owen? Okay. Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Williams. Second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Schwartz. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Owen.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is Agenda Item 5H, which was added to the consent calendar. Agenda Item 5I was also added to the consent calendar, as was Agenda Item 5J, also added to the consent calendar. So we move on to Agenda Item 5K, which is consideration of adopting the staff recommendation of the committee relating to approval to issue a request for proposals for the evaluation of co-requisite models required by the Texas Success Initiative. Jarrell Booker will be presenting this item. Jarrell?
Good afternoon. Thank you. As you may know, approximately 40% of students entering higher education here in Texas aren't college ready and are therefore required to take some form of developmental education or intervention to help them become college ready. For underprepared students, I think it was the 85th legislature, they passed House Bill 2223. You may recall that's dealing with co-requisite models where you'd have to take the developmental ed course and a college level course at the same exact time to kind of help them get through their dev ed work faster. And it also helps them in getting the intervention at the same time they're taking the course. Since then, because of that law, we've had to scale up. Institutions have had to scale up. 25% of the students have to take co-rec. Now it's 50%, and the next year it'll be 75%. With that, we are looking to evaluate how those programs and that implementation of those models have been going. Preliminary numbers look really, really good and positive for us, but we want to take a deeper dive from an independent source to really look at that data to help us instruct our technical assistants, our professional development, and other interventions and policies that may come up. And therefore, we're asking for the ability to post an RFP to help find an evaluator to evaluate how those projects have been going.
Okay, thank you, Jarrell. Is there any further discussion? Any questions for Jarrell on this? If not, do I have a motion to adopt the staff recommendation? Motion by Chairman Stedman. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Williams. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. We move on to Agenda Item 5L, which is consideration of adopting the staff recommendation to the committee relating to approval to issue a request for proposals for the developmental education program. This item will be presented by Jarrell.
As discussed in a previous agenda item around development education, over the last few years, we get funds from the state legislature to support developmental ed. With the passage of that bill, House Bill 2223 and 85th, we're using a lot of these funds to support that growth and increase of those co-rec models. Every 2 years, we come back and ask for permission to provide an RFP to actually spend that $2.25 million to help support those models and improve dev ed. And this is our request again to post an RFP to have institutions apply for the funds and support their efforts to improve the dev ed and college readiness for our students.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Booker? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Williams, second by Chairman Stedman. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Agenda item 5M is consideration of adopting the staff recommendation to the committee relating to an approval to issue a request for applications for the nursing, allied health, and other health-related education grant program. Dr. Silverman will be presenting this item.
Thank you. The Nursing, Allied Health, and Other Health-Related Education Grant Program was established in 1999 as a result of the state's tobacco lawsuit settlement. Grants are funded by the interest earnings from the permanent fund for the program. House Bill 1401, passed by the 86th Texas Legislature, directs the coordinating board to continue prioritizing the state's nursing shortage through the program. The staff recommendation is to publish a request for applications from Texas public and independent institutions of higher education that offer programs leading to the initial licensure of registered nurses. Approximately $5 million is available for the grant awards in fiscal year 2020. Pending approval, the RFA would be released in the spring with awards announced in summer 2020. The RFA will support efforts to reduce barriers that limit student enrollment and completion, support RN programs' expansion of clinical training into settings with high-need populations and where a nursing shortage is prevalent, and opportunities to develop students' clinical judgment are readily available. The staff recommendation is for approval.
Thank you, Dr. Silverman. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
I'll move.
Moved by Ms. Schwartz. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Williams. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. And agenda item 5N is consideration of adopting the staff recommendation to the committee relating to approval to issue a request for applications for the Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Basic Grant Program. Dr. Silverman will be presenting this item.
Thank you. The staff recommendation is to issue a request for applications for the Perkins Basic Grant in fall 2021. The coordinating board is the state's subrecipient of the federal Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Improvement Act funding and administers the Perkins Basic Formula Grants. Fiscal year 2021 will include the new required elements included in the new four-year state plan. Perkins Basic Grants provide support for career and technical programs at Texas public, community, and technical colleges. These grants are awarded annually and are based on the formula prescribed by the Federal Perkins Act. Each eligible institution is entitled to an allotment that is determined by the total number of students reported by the institution who are enrolled in career and technical programs and receive Pell Grants. Eligible institutions in Texas include all 50 community college districts, 3 Lamar State colleges, and Texas State Technical College. The staff recommendation is for approval pending receipt of funds from the Texas Education Agency.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Williams. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Schwartz. Thank you. And all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. Agenda item 5O is consideration of adopting the staff recommendation to the committee relating to approval to issue the request for applications for the Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Leadership Grant Program. Dr. Silverman.
Thank you. In addition to the Perkins Basic Formula Grants, the board also provides leadership grants to support initiatives that align with federal and state goals. The staff recommendation is to publish a request for applications for fiscal year 2021. State leadership grants will address overall advancement of career and technical education, special populations, partnerships with educational agencies, workforce development boards, and others, and include a sustainability plan and budget for continuation of the project's activities after the funding ends. Anticipated fiscal year 2021 funding, it's actually fiscal year 21 funding available for Perkins State Leadership Grants is $3.1 million, and the staff recommendation is for approval pending receipt of funding from the Texas Education Agency.
Thank you, Dr. Silverman. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt the staff recommendation? Moved by Chairman Stedman. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Schwartz. Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Agenda item 5P1 is consideration of adopting the Commissioner's recommendation to this committee relating to the proposed amendments to Chapter 7, Subchapter A, Section 7.3 through 7.8 and 7.11 of Board Rules concerning financial protections and for student tuition and fees. Dr. Silverman.
Thank you, and I apologize up front for getting very technical right now. So the revisions move the section financial protections for student tuition and fees from section 7.7, which is called institutions accredited by board-recognized accreditors, and section 7.8, institutions not accredited by a board-recognized accreditor, to create a new section 7.16, financial protection for student tuition and fees. The revisions clarify existing rules, including the type of institutions that may participate in a reciprocal state exemption agreement, and it defines which institutions are subject to the standards for operation of institutions, and adds the requirement that new degree program applications evaluate the need of the proposed program through survey, research, or other means of measurement. The revisions also delete a reference to a closed school previously allowed to have an Associate of Occupational Studies degree, correct cross-reference subsections, and subject individuals who become new owners to the independent audited financial records requirement. The rules were posted in the Texas Register on October 25th, and the 30-day comment period ended on November 25th. No comments were received, and the Commissioner recommendation is for approval.
Thank you, Dr. Silverman. Are there questions or discussion? Motion by Mr. Stedman. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Williams. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? None. I hear none, so the motion passes. Thank you. Agenda item 5P2 is consideration of adopting the Commissioner's recommendation to the committee relating to the proposed new rule for Chapter 7, Subchapter A, Section 7.16 of Board Rules concerning financial protections for student tuition and fees. Dr. Silberman will be presenting this item.
Thank you, and again, I'm about to be technical. The proposed rule, Section 7.16, moves the financial protections for student tuition and fees language from Section 7.7, institutions accredited by board-recognized accreditors, and Section 7.8, institutions not accredited by a board-recognized accreditor, to create Section 7.16, financial protections for student tuition and fees. The revisions combine current surety instrument requirements into one rule and clarify provisions in previous language. The proposed rules were published in the Texas Register on October 25th for a 30-day comment period, which ended November 25th. No comments were received, and the Commissioner's recommendation is approval.
Okay, any questions or discussion on this topic? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt the Commissioner's recommendation? Motion by Chairman Stedman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Williams. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Agenda items 5P3 was on the consent calendar. Agenda item 5P4 is consideration of adopting the Commissioner's recommendation to the committee relating to the proposed new rules for Chapter 21, Subchapter W, Sections 21.700 through 21.707 of Board Rules. This is concerning the Texas Working Off-Campus Reinforcing Knowledge and Skills, the Works Internship Program. Members, you have supplemental material on this item. This is the Goldratt paper that you have on the side here. So that is added to this item, supplemental material for your leisure reading. And this will be presented by Mr. Jarrell Booker.
So the WORKS obviously stands for Working Off-Campus Reinforcing Knowledge and Skills. It's an internship program that the 86th legislature decided they wanted the coordinating board to run. It was one of our legislative recommendations then. We've carved off a piece of the work study funds to fund this project. There's a lot of funds who are returned or aren't used. Now we're going to be using a good amount of that for this internship program. About $1 million right now is what we're allocating per year for this internship project. What you have before you on Goldenrod, it's similar to what was sent the first time, but we posted these rules to implement this project on October 25th. We did not receive any formal comments for this, but what you see on this is staff going back over, making sure we corrected a few non-substantive items, grammar were needed, some clarification on terms, and also we had to put one more additional item in there that the legislature required as far as civil rights and hiring, and we included that. So what you will see in the Goldenrod are the things that are underlined or the changes that we moved around, but that said, this allows us to implement this program. We are expecting our first set of interns to start summer of 2020. Once these rules are able to pass, then we can start working very closely with employers and getting them involved. We're going to be partnering with TWC also to help get this program up and running, using their websites and using some of their relationships also. One thing we're excited about is also the marketable skills side of this, requiring the students to also gain marketable skills in these internships, and then we'll pay a portion of those eligible wages that the employers will also pay. So we're kind of like a match, or we'll split it 50-50 as we move forward.
Great, thank you. Questions, discussion?
I have a question for you. If you advertise the rule and then you go back and do something to the rule, is there a criteria that's set out that you don't have to take it back and re-advertise it?
So what we've done is if we made any substantive changes that changed how we're going to do something, then we would have had to start from scratch. But certain things that might have been in another section, we just moved it from that section to a different section. And if you look at and compare to what was there and what was there now, you wouldn't see any substantive changes, but we would have had to have gone back if that was the case.
Okay, thank you.
I've got a question.
Question, Chairman Stedman?
Okay, I've got a big picture question. And I'm thinking about Mr. Torn, his first meeting, thinking, oh my gosh, look at all these rules. It seems like this is kind of the exception. Is that because we've just finished a legislative session and we have to do these new rules to implement what the legislature said?
Yes.
And is my memory serve me correctly that we don't do this often? Okay, good. All right, thank you.
So you don't want to run off Mr. Torn at the first meeting, is what you're trying to say?
For the record, I'm still trying to figure out what a co-requisite program is.
Actually, that is an important substantive issue, and you know, kind of make that note. But yeah, I just comment about the rules. This is highly unusual for this board to have to delve into this many rules.
That's right. Okay, so do I have? Is there any further discussion on these rules? Motion by Chairman Stedman. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Schwartz. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. We are now moving on to agenda item 5P5, which is consideration of adopting the Commissioner's recommendation to the committee relating to proposed amendments to Chapter 6, Subchapter C, Section 6.73 of Board Rules concerning institutional eligibility under the Nursing, Allied Health, and other health-related education grant programs. Dr. Silverman will be presenting this item.
which delineates the and no comments were received.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Silverman. Is questions or discussion on this item? Okay, thought you were going to have a discussion. Okay. Motion by Chairman Stedman. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Schwartz. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, agenda item 5P5 passes. Agenda item 5Q1 is consideration of adopting the Commissioner's recommendation to this committee relating to the proposed new Chapter 1, Subchapter DD of Board Rules concerning the Title IX Training Advisory Committee, which is Senate Bill 212 and House Bill 1735 of the 86th Legislature Regular Session, for those that are following the details. Dr. Silverman will be presenting this item.
Thank you. So this one really is pretty straightforward. It really requires us to establish an advisory committee for Title IX training, and that is what this particular set of rules does.
Okay, any questions or discussion?
I'll move.
A motion by Ms. Schwartz. Do I have a second for adoption? Second by Ms. Williams. All in favor of the motion to adopt the Commission's recommendation, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. We move on to agenda item 5Q2, which is consideration of adopting the Commissioner's recommendation to the committee relating to the proposed new Chapter 1, Subchapter EE of Board Rules concerning the Study and Report on Core Curriculum Advisory Committee, Senate Bill 25, Sections 8 through 10 of the 86th Texas Legislature. Dr. Silverman will present this item.
And I'll make this quick as well. This is similar to the previous agenda item that you just approved for the Title IX Advisory Committee. This set of rules actually establishes an advisory committee that is called the Study and Report on Core Curriculum Advisory Committee.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Williams, a second? Second by Chairman Stedman. It's very rarely that I catch you off guard. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much. Agenda item 6 is adjournment. If there's no further, do I have a motion for adjournment? If there's no further discussion, that is. Move it. Motion by Chairman Stedman, a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Williams. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This concludes the Texas Higher Education Committee on Academic and Workforce Success. We are going to take a short break to allow the staff to set up for the special call board meeting. Thank you very much. Short little.